This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel this fine Sunday morning. And while I promised we would get to it, of course, after doing that Philip Broberg video and the Olivier Rodrigue video yesterday, now here we are. Yesterday, the Oilers covering the kind of relationship and, of course, the determination of what it becomes in net for game one against the Chicago Blackhawks. Is it Smith? Is it Koskinen? Which one of them will we see suit up in game one on August 1st? That is the question. And Dave Tippett really nonchalantly kind of answers, we'll see. That's essentially what Dave Tippett's answer was. As he says, we have a great deal of confidence in both guys. They both look really good so far as we go on, and we'll continue to monitor things, talk to Schwartzy, talk to the players, and see where it goes. I envision both guys getting an opportunity to play. Now, obviously, both guys getting an opportunity to play doesn't mean getting an opportunity to play in game one. Hopefully, at least. Hopefully, we don't have to use a backup in game one, because that would be a sure sign of disaster, either injury prone or too many goals scored against, and that doesn't bode well to start a 5-game series if you lose the first one, right? Alright, so the big takeaway here from this entire article on EdmontonOilers.com, written by Paul Gazzola, is Mike Smith's line: we just want to get to the top and raise Lord Stanley. That's it. The Oilers are all in, all set, all ready to go on a heck of a playoff run here and show us exactly what this team is capable of in the playoffs. That is huge. So really the only question that remains to be seen is, of course, how do you start things off? As I mentioned, right, game one, who do you go with, right? You're in phase 3 now. You're in training camp. You've got all this going on. You've got an exhibition game against the Calgary Flames coming up, which I'm going to put this to you. If you're the Edmonton Oilers and you're going into that exhibition game against the Flames, do you bench your game one starter and put Stuart Skinner on the bench for the backup position and let the other goaltender who won't be starting game one play against the Flames, right? Kind of save yourself any injury problems. At least rest one of your two goaltenders. And then make the decision, right? Do you have, if it's going to be Mike Smith in game one, do you have Mikko Koskinen play half of the exhibition game against the Flames and then throw Stuart Skinner in there just to get a very good read on what you have in case you need to use Stuart Skinner? Because let me remind you, the last time the Oilers went to the Stanley Cup final, they rolled 3 goalies there, right? It was Dwayne Rollison, UC Markkanen, and of course Ty Conklin, who we all famously and will never forget here in Oilers land. But you had 3 goalies back then, all the way to the Stanley Cup final. You'll have 3 goalies now. But the difference between then and now is you have a big time situation to get that third goalie, kind of that rep you need to know, okay, here's what we have. Worst case scenario. This is, by no means am I saying throw Stuart Skinner in the exhibition game to see if he can back up Mike Smith or Mikko Koskinen in round 2 for 4 games. No. No, man. Absolutely not. That is not what I am advocating for. Stuart Skinner, hopefully, will never even see the bench in this playoff run. That's not to say that that's the best thing for him, because obviously maybe getting into a game in the Stanley Cup playoffs would be good for his development, but at the same rate, is he ready? I don't think anyone in Bakersfield would say he's ready. I don't think anyone in the Oilers organization would say he's ready. He's just the most ready goaltender we have in the farm system, ready to go in case, right? Obviously, he has seen the bench once this year in an NHL game. That was way back when Mike Smith got injured, I believe, against Florida, and then he was on the bench for the next one. I believe it was Florida, where Mike Smith overextended, stayed in the game, gave up 3 goals. We took him out, and I think I remember what happened in that game. After that, probably not. I think we lost, but you get where we're going, right? Is, you know what? There's a lot of options here when it comes to goaltending, and even if you're rolling 3 goalies, right? But the question is, game one, However, how do you set things up in the exhibition game? Like I said, I think I'm comfortable. Backup goalie and Stuart Skinner splitting time in the exhibition game and then giving whoever starts game one the crease in game one. Problem is, Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen, who he's starting based on the season, right? Based on season stats, it should be Mikko Koskinen. Based on playoff record, based on being in the playoffs before, it's Mike Smith. Oh, bless me. Oh, brutal. All right, there we go. Woke up now. So, like I said, based on being in the playoffs before, it's Mike Smith, and I think that's kind of the general consensus across Oilers land is that Mike Smith will start game one. Dave Tippett, the media, still trying to play off that. Not necessarily the case, but end of day, I don't envision really anything else other than maybe an injury or something you're not fully comfortable doing with Mike Smith in game one that Mikko Koskinen takes the net in game two. However, you know what? Realistically, you look at it another way. Let me see. Where was it? Let's just put it this way. Game one might not mean anything for the rest of the playoffs. Go back to this quote from Mike Smith. When one guy's not playing well, it seemed like the other guy picked him up. It's been a great new friendship for me. We have two different personalities, which absolutely, if you ever see what Mikko Koskinen's all about in a press conference, he's got some kind of personality to him. But they mix well together. Whether it's him or me, both guys are cheering for each other, and we just want to do whatever we can to help this team win. And then Koskinen hasn't admitted to looking too far into the future. It's a totally different situation that's never been like this before. But I haven't really thought about that. There's not so much going on. You just have to do your best and enjoy it. So, Mikko Koskinen, you read that kind of quote and you'd say, first glance, ooh, wait a minute. I think Mikko's admitted that it's Mike Smith game one. But you look at it second glance and Mikko Koskinen is just living in the moment because at this point, anything could happen because we're living in the middle of a pandemic, all right? We're living in the middle of a pandemic, and we're talking about choosing a game one starter for a play-in series that isn't even technically the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, right, we're talking craziness happening like craziness has never happened before in the NHL, in the world and stuff like that. Mikko Koskinen living in the moment. Mike Smith gearing up to be that game one starter, as said in his quote. But Mike Smith, you know what? He'll do whatever is best for the team. That's what an older goalie does. And you know what? If Mike Smith rides us through the play-in series through round one, round two, and then all of a sudden Mike Smith has to step out of the crease and let Mikko Koskinen carry the rest of the way, that is fine. That is dandy. And I think there's nothing different to the Oilers' strategy all season if that ends up being the plan. Obviously, like I said, yes, the exhibition game probably the most intriguing situation because that is where you can get your third string goalie in Stuart Skinner into the mix and kind of see what he has. Other than that, realistically, you go into the game against the Blackhawks probably solid on a starter long before that exhibition game. I wouldn't be surprised if we have our game one starter for the Blackhawks series as of, let's just say, you know what, as of when we see everybody else arrive in Edmonton, July 26th, a week from now. If we don't know who the starter for game one is, I'd be very, very intrigued at what's going to happen because I think there's a lot of straight up ideas as to how this goes, right? Obviously, season stats, Mikko Koskinen, playoff experience, Mike Smith, everybody leaning to Mike Smith, end of day. It seems like an obvious choice for the crease at this point. Unless anything happens at camp, the craziness that is our world, that'll determine what happens, but I like both options. Both options are good options. And then, of course, you get the intrigue of the exhibition game. And ladies and gentlemen, that's really all we have to discuss on this. Because at the end of the day, right, we're talking something that's still just over, or just under 2 weeks away. Oh my goodness, look at that, right? We are talking craziness at this point. Anyways, I'm Tyson, this is Stolany TV. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and get in the comments because this is probably the hottest topic realistically we should be talking about as Oilers fans, considering everything else seems pretty cemented. But get in the comments, let me know your thoughts. And guys, I will catch you, as always, in the next one.